is the Flex Network. Flex on everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Flex Network. I'm your host, Flex Shane. You can follow me on Twitter at the Flex Network 1. I'm joined, of course, by Brandon Adam. You can follow him on Twitter at Brandon D Adam 19. Brandon, what's going on, brother?
Oh, just getting into these dynasty times. The Super Bowl's over. Everything's done and over with, and time to rebuild teams and go for another championship. And dynasty, this is when it starts.
Let's go, baby. It's dynasty season. Mm-hmm. We are clearly lacking Mike today. Unfortunately, he had, again, real life shit that he had to go and take care of. So, Mike, we missed your brother, but it gives us an opportunity to go and dive in a little bit more on these rookies, because I think you and I are firmly down that rabbit hole. We've been lost. We pretty much text about it every day. So we finally have an opportunity to come on here and talk a little bit more about these rookies. So what we're going to do today for the good people is just a 2-round rookie mock. It's going to be super flex. Now, we didn't really discuss if we should call it tight end premium. I mean, it'll move the top two guys a little bit, but I think Trey McBride, Jalen Wiedemeyer, he's in the conversation for round 2, especially for tight end premium. But I think both of those guys are probably mid round 2 to early round 3, realistically. So we may talk about them, we may not. You're just gonna have to wait and find out. So Brandon, let me ask you here. So we're gonna do this 2-round mock. Before we get into it, though, are there any guys that you've just started watching film on, or just started researching a little bit in the last little bit since we last spoke, that really has jumped out of you? That isn't necessarily one of these top guys. Is there anybody that's jumped out of you? I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
Just Senior Bowl guys I've been looking more into was Christian Watson, and then of course Tolbert. The small school guys, those guys are, the profile they have is quite nice with the size. That's something that's different with this this year's class versus last year. The size is there, so a lot of wide receiver 1 profiles are available. So I'm excited about that. So anybody over 6'2" is nice, man. Like that, you got to check him out and see, especially with Christian Watson with that speed, and he lit up the Senior Bowl. People were raving about him. That's a guy that I think sometime in the second round I'll be looking for.
Yeah, I think he's definitively going to be like a round 2, mid round 2 pick in these dynasty
100%.
And he might be a round 2 pick in the real NFL for all we know, right?
Yeah.
If he comes out and just lights the combine on fire, I could see it happening for sure. 100%. I think what Khalil Shakir, what are your thoughts on Khalil Shakir? I've just started researching this guy. So, I mean, he was at the Senior Bowl. He did have a pretty respectable Senior Bowl. The problem is that, at least for me, he really hasn't he hasn't jumped off the page, right? So Khalil Shakir from Boise State is 22 years old. He's 6 foot. He's 193 pounds, which he does meet, that minimum weight threshold, right, that we like to talk about. Here's the crazy thing. He had a 40.8 college dominator rating, which is massive, right? Granted, he went to Boise State. Yeah. And he had a 32.2% college target share. So the problem is that so we didn't go to the Senior Bowl, right? So we're relying to people with eyes on the ground. I haven't scouted Shakir yet. I haven't watched a lot of game tape, but he was comped to me as Tylan Wallace. Now, Tylan Wallace is a nice, scrappy player. He's a depth player. Of course, Tylan Wallace was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. I just don't know if I'm sold that he's going to have immediate NFL impact, value, right? Especially, I mean, he's a guy that maybe he can, but
we'll see. I got to put more. I got to put more time into him. I'm not going to give an opinion on him yet, because I really haven't gotten too much into him yet. I haven't been past into the 3rd round of rookies yet. That's where I'm starting to get into now.
Yeah. So with his profile, his probably median outcome is going to be a guy like Tylan Wallace. He's going to be a depth slot receiver, right? So is he going to be on? Is he going to be the starter on a team? Maybe, but he's not going to have early, immediate impact. His absolute upside is going to be a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? That's who you look at his body type, you look at his profile. That's the kind of player that he looks like. Now, Amon-Ra St. Brown, this was a guy that I was high on pre-draft. but obviously I took a step back off Amon-Ra to my detriment. And I was definitely high on him because I've got the receipts because we were doing mock drafts and I was consistently taking Amon-Ra in round 2, right? So I liked Amon-Ra.
I remember.
He took a step back because
Detroit
draft capital, right? So he went, but Amon-Ra went to Detroit and he had elite target share, but targets are earned, but there's nobody that is competing for targets for. So what is it, right? So needless to say, I don't have a really strong take on Shakir. I think he's probably going to be a round 3 Dynasty
guy,
pick,
just a shot in the dark.
3, round 4. Yeah, but I mean, he's a good player. I just don't know if he's going to have immediate impact on our fantasy team. So I don't think we'll be talking about him today in the first 2 rounds. I'll be honest about Boise's egg, but appreciate the question. All right, Brandon,
let's get started.
We talked about this. Should we just get this going? Let's get this going, baby. Let's get a graphic going on. All right, so here we are. We're going to do the Flex Network 1.0 rookie mock draft. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go.
Appreciate that, boys. Yeah, it's good analysis. I like his tape too, bro, but it's just it's going to be I want to see how he tests, and then draft capital is going to be huge and landing spot's going to be huge. If he falls on a team with a pretty good depth chart, your immediate impact is going to be it's going to be suspect, right? And we've seen it where if a wide receiver in particular doesn't show at least some sort of promise as a rookie, odds are better that he's not going to break out than that he's going to break out, which is why it's so important that landing spots is a good part for a player. And here's the thing. Does he have that draft profile where he's going to be like an AJ Brown where we don't care where he lands, he's going to have an immediate impact? I'm not quite there on him. So it'll be interesting, but appreciate it, Boise's egg. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to get started with the 101 and I'm going to keep track here, Brandon. So we're going to come back to this and we're going to say, what the hell was Brandon smoking? But I know. Okay. My first 101 pick, it's got to be Breece Hall, Iowa State running back. Okay, so what I wanted to do was I went and mocked out my top 3 rounds here, Brandon, okay? And what I also went and I looked at, playerprofiler.com is where I get all my data. I highly recommend for those who are data nerds, if you want to choose a service, playerprofiler.com is beautiful, right? So one of the things that they also have with their Dynasty package is they've got an indexed real NFL mock draft board, right? So this is pulling from like CBS, the Draft Network. They do their own mock drafts. And so what I did was based on that index. So it's about 7 or 8 different sources, right? So I wouldn't say it's reliable because
that's a lot.
Freaking knows, but it's at least for conversation, right? So then I looked at draft capital matters, especially for running backs, right? Breece Hall, Isaiah Spiller, Kenneth Walker. These are probably the top 3 backs. The guy that I had number 1 on my board is Breece Hall. Treylon Burks is my number 1 wide receiver. So for me, Brandon, it was really tough deciding, do I want to go get Breece Hall, get that running back, because we know running back dries up pretty damn quick. We were talking about a pre-show today. Whereas wide receiver is surprisingly deep this year. I mean, shit, man. If I can get Breece Hall at 101, and then assuming about the 201, go like a Chris Olave, Pickens, somebody in that line, like I'm going to be happy with that, right? Whereas if I go Treylon Burks and then get like a Kyron Williams or a Jerome Ford or Rashad White, like I'm less confident in that. So for me, it's a pretty good lock. Breece Hall 101. Let me just real quick, Brandon, before I get your take on him, let me just read his profile real quick, okay?
Sure.
So Breece Hall is 20 years old. He is from Iowa State. He's 6'1", 215 pounds. He had an 18.3 breakout age, which is good, right? We want young breakout, especially at running backs. His breakout year was 2019. He has a 39.3% college dominator rating. He had a 7.2 college target share, but in his senior season, he had a 9.9% target share. That's important. For those at home, when you're looking at wide receiver or a running back's participation in the passing game, if you get around to like 8.8 to 9%, that's good. That's a good target share for running back. So, love Breece Hall, 300 receiving yards. Everything about this man, to me, he profiled as a top running back in the NFL. I think he's going to probably get to day 2 capital. The indexed for him was 58, which is round 2 draft capital. So I think that's going to be good, right? Round 2 is what you want for this guy. So Breece Hall, my 101. What say you, Brendan?
I think it's totally appropriate. I mean, I get that. It's not the direction I would have went, but like you said, the scarcity of position is a real thing in this draft, and locking yourself up a star stud running back at the position is probably the smarter thing to do. I just, you know me, I go for those high upside, high explosive guys that are fascinating, and I probably would have went Treylon Burks at 101, but that is totally appropriate, and I totally understand it, and I back that as a safe 101 pick. If he goes later in the second and Treylon goes mid first, though, I mean, what do you say then? Like, do you think Treylon Burks has more capital behind him? And that's the question. Because if he goes high versus, a late second for a running back, I think teams are trying to tell you something a little bit, but he is a great outside zone runner. He can break it. He has a little wiggle when it gets tight. I think he does need a little bit of a line to be his full self. Unlike, like
that's shade.
Yeah, I know, I get that, but I prefer running backs that can create instantly on their own, especially when they go to bad teams. And that's Kenneth Walker to me. He's that guy in this class that can do that. But
hold on a second.
Breece Hall is a beast.
Hold on a second. I'm cool. Hold on a second, Brandon. Hold on a second.
Go ahead.
Is Kenneth Walker your top running back in this class?
No.
Ahead of Isaiah Spiller and Breece Hall?
No, he's number 2.
Who's your top running back? Who's your top?
It's Breece. It's Breece Hall.
Okay, okay. So we're kind of like we're nitpicking a little bit, which is what we're supposed to do at this point.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, it's a big. Okay, so choosing the 101, this is a tough year to have the 101. I think in past years there's like a definitive 101, especially in Superflex leagues, right? Like when Joe Burrow came out, he was the 101. When Kyler Murray came out, he was the definitive 101, right? When Jonathan Taylor came out, in my humble opinion, he was the definitive 101. There was a lot of fucking smoke and mirrors out there with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. JT, he never wavered. Never. I got the receipts. Never wavered.
Never.
The thing about Breece Hall, I think you're right. I mean, it's going to be if he ends up on a team where there's other backs at play, like that's going to worry me, of course. If Treylon Burks, let me ask you this, okay? If Breece Hall goes to an opportunity where he's going to be the definitive 101 or definitive starting running back on that team, but Treylon Burks goes to Cleveland, are we going to ding him for? Because I've heard him mock to Cleveland. Are we going to ding him for that? Because we saw that Odell Beckham on the Rams versus Odell Beckham on Cleveland. Like it's clear. Are we making a mistake that we did with AJ Brown? Because I'm
taking Treylon. I don't care where he goes. He's that kind of guy. I think he can actually help Baker much more than Odell ever could, because they could just move him around the formation and make it creative for Baker and not let you can lock in on Odell. It's pretty easy to find him, figure out how to defend him. With Treylon, man, he can line up in the slot, the X, the Z. He could be anywhere. Like he could be in the backfield, for God's sakes. He's a Deebo Samuel type of guy where he can do a lot of things, and they will manufacture touches for him. No, 100%. And I just have a feeling that whoever gets him understands the fact that he's a freak athlete, that they should be using him all over the formation. And I think that's what makes him kind of safe, in my opinion, is because he can dominate from almost every position because he's just a freak athlete. And, Baker scares the shit out of me. Yeah. But but the guy was straight wounded all year. Like the dude
his shoulder was broken. Yeah.
Like his shoulder, knee, ankle, like he was just getting tattooed everywhere. And then as soon as that line went down, as soon as the line went to shit, that's when the whole offense couldn't move anymore. And I actually think Baker did himself a disservice by playing. He should have sat himself mid-season and just said, I can't do this. And it's just too much right now. Too much of a load to carry. They should have just allowed Casey Keenum to come in and just hand it off to Nick Chubb. That's all they should have done.
Yeah, no,
he ruined himself.
Max Beck's chiming in here, calling me out on my shit. He's saying JT and Burrow in the same class. How could they both be the definitive 101?
Oh,
point, Matt.
Joe Burrow.
I'm taking Joe. Yeah, I was thinking more so Kyler Murray, definitive 101. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. Joe Burrow. He wasn't.
Joe Burrow, 100% was my 101.
What a crazy ass draft year that was. Looking back on
Yeah.
it, right? Like just the elite talent that came out that class was just insane.
Insane.
Rest in peace,
Yeah.
those people who went Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But I think what makes it interesting is that the Cleveland Browns have the 13th overall pick. And we've talked
Sure.
about it before. Like that's kind of like that sweet spot for the first wide receiver coming off the board.
Yeah.
In most years, right? I mean, sometimes you'll get to Jamar Chase's, Jalen Waddle years, the Corey Davis going early.
Corey Davis.
I get it, but yeah, that's going to be interesting. Okay, so I'm going to pencil you in there for Traylon Burks as
102,
your number 102. Okay, so far we're not deviating at all.
Nope.
So then at the 3 spot here, again, it's another question of, am I going to go Isaiah Spiller or Garrett Wilson? And ladies and gentlemen, this is a super flex draft, okay? And we've not yet discussed the quarterbacks. Now, I think if Brandon had this pick, he's probably going to go with his top.
You know where I'm going.
But I'm not going to do that. I'm assuming like I'm a different team, right? So I'm going to go Isaiah Spiller here. Again, it's close between Isaiah Spiller and Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is my number 2 ranked wide receiver. Isaiah Spiller is my number 2 ranked running back. So Isaiah Spiller, Texas A&M, real NFL draft. He's right around the 51 mark. So again, middle to late round 2 is what his expected draft capital is. Isaiah Spiller, Texas A&M. He's 20 years old. Also, he's one of the younger backs in this class. He might be one of the youngest actually at 20.5. He is 6'1",
that's
225 pounds. He had an 18.1 breakout age. Again, Breece Hall was 18.3, so let's call it very similar. He had a 25% college dominator rating, 8.9 percent target share, and he had a 5.5 yards per carry in college. So Isaiah Spiller, again, we've talked about this guy because he doesn't have the pure counting stats that, say, Kenneth Walker has. But yet, to me, it really comes down to that ability through the air. He had 25 receptions and 189 receiving yards. And again, in that last year, 9.8% target share. So it just comes down to workhorse back, can be top. Like he's got RB1 potential in his range of outcomes.
Sure.
Right? I think all top 3 guys do. So I'm going to pull the trigger on Isaiah Spiller here. I know you probably would have gone a different direction. So what do you think?
I understand Isaiah Spiller. I just have, when I watch him play, I just think he's almost too patient for his own good. He actually I think in the NFL speed and the NFL game, I think it's going to catch up to him a little bit. If he could just play the decision-making just a little faster, I think he can be very good. But he's either going to be Le'Veon Bell or a guy that's going to bust out. That's just not going to work because it's just his patience is too much. I don't think he's as good as Kenneth Walker is in the phone booth. I think as a pure runner, I think Kenneth Walker is better. But I do understand. I get it. Modern football, man. Modern football, you need to stay on the field for third down. That has to be, if you're going to take a running back at the top 3 picks here over quarterbacks, they have to catch the football. And, even though I think personally as an athlete, Kenneth Walker could totally do that, but the offense just didn't show it, or the coaching staff didn't want to do it for some reason. But I think a lot of these college kids are not finished products. And I think that's what Kenneth Walker shows, is he's not a finished product yet. He can be, he can be another step. And that's what excites me about him. But Spiller is great, dude. His size, speed, he's a little bit of a plotter in this. He can be ran down in the secondary. He can be ran down in the secondary. I've watched it on games, dude. He can. And it's just what it is. But he gets you 20 yards. He'll get you that 20 yards. He's just not going to break the 40-yard run for a touchdown. He just won't do that. But I totally understand. It's totally fair. I like the pick. I would not argue with anybody that did that. But all
right, who are you taking? I'm taking
Drake London, USC, the 6'5" monster. The 100-catch walking monster, dude. He is my wide receiver 2. And he is legitimately a alpha. And I think it's going to be a real he's going to be – I'm curious where he's going to go. Because the quarterback it really is dependent on quarterback. If he gets a quarterback that is not afraid to throw it up and just let him go be the dominant guy he is, he's going to be very successful. If he has a timid quarterback, it's going to be a problem because of his separation skills aren't there because he's 6'5". He's not that kind of guy. He's a guy that's going to straight moss you, body you up like a basketball player, and go get that football. That's what I got.
Matt's chiming in here saying some of us haven't been burned by N'Keal Harry and Paris Campbell, and it shows. That's look, Drake London's a better prospect.
I didn't pick N'Keal Harry.
I think. Yeah,
not even close to the same guy.
I think that's Matt's point though. It's like you haven't been burned by him yet. I don't think he's N'Keal Harry. He's been his draft index is 22, so again, firmly in the first round. The injury is a concern potentially, but if he's able to test, if he's able to test, his medicals come out good. I think he's absolutely going to be a first round pick. I love 100%. Drake London. Yeah, I mean USC, he's kind of your boy. I think you would have been crazy.
I just watched too much of him. I've watched too much of him. I trust him. I think he's super young. Like he can literally walk in and you can give him on his second contract. He's only going to be like 27. You know, like he could have a very long career because of how young he is. And
he's only 20.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like he's going to have 2 contracts before he's 27, 28. You know, like it's just the guy is a monster. And when Amon-Ra St. Brown was there, people were still talking about Drake London. Like,
of course.
But as soon as Amon-Ra left, Drake London took over that offense, and he had 88 catches in a partial season. Like he wasn't even close. Like 8 games, dude. 8 games. Like that dude is unbelievable. Like I just don't. I don't see how you can walk away from that type of stature of a wide receiver at this point of the draft. And I get you like Garrett Wilson and all that. I get it. I get it. He's a separation monster. He's a twitchy athlete. I like that a lot. But man, the yak ability, and I'm telling you, Drake London is going to make a quarterback. It's going to be a lot easier to throw the ball to him.
Boise's asking what's your NFL comp. We've talked about this.
It's easy. It's Brandon Marshall and T. Higgins. That's who I see when I watch him play. Like, Brandon Marshall and T. Higgins.
I think that's because T. Higgins almost looks more svelte, right? See, Mike Evans was my initial comp to him, but Mike Evans is heavier than Drake London. I mean, I'll be curious to see what he actually weighs in at, but on the website he's only 210 pounds, so 6'5".
I understand. That's what I'm saying.
Like, that's thin. So I could definitely see more like a Brandon Marshall type.
I can see him putting another 10 pounds on easy in the first couple of years. Like he's going to end up playing at 230 almost at that freaking height. Like, and when he gets that big and strong, there's no DB that he's not going to be able to manhandle. Like Jalen Ramsey's going to be the only dude that's going to be able to deal with him because he's so big.
Jalen Ramsey
look what T. Higgins did to Jalen. Like Jalen put him or T. Higgins put Jalen on skates, bro. Like, wow. He did
with a few face masks thrown in there, but that's neither here nor there. Okay.
Was it called? Was it called?
Is it a foul if it's not called? The answer is absolutely not.
Does a tree fall in the woods if you can't hear it? No.
Exactly. All right. Well, so you're kind of laying me up then for the next pick. So for the 5th overall pick, I guess I got to go Garrett Wilson, right? I mean, again, we're still not talking about the quarterbacks, which is crazy to me. So Garrett Wilson, Texas A&M, he's going off the board as a wide receiver 3.
There you go.
All right. So Ohio State, he's 21 and a half years old. He's 6 foot, 193 pounds. So he's a little bit light, but I mean, you can compare him from a body type. It's like a CeeDee Lamb, right? So it's not, he still meets those thresholds. He's hyper athletic. He had a 29.4% college dominator rating. He had a 26.3% college target share. He had 16 yards per reception, which is, I think that's pretty damn good, right? So the thing about Garrett Wilson is that he is what you call a separation specialist, right? We look at how do players like Justin Jefferson win in the league. Now, obviously, to compare Justin Jefferson is bold. I'm not quite there yet. Obviously, you got to see it, but that's the kind of player that he like high-end comp that you can see in the NFL. And so when you look at these smaller stature players, you see CeeDee Lamb, right? He had a bit of a down year. I think in general, dynasty gamers were disappointed after his rookie season this year. But that's the kind of player, that's kind of the kind of upside that a player like Garrett Wilson has. So at this point in the draft, again with a weaker wide receiver class, I'm going to go with, a weaker quarterback class. I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson here. Shane, you lead my. I love T. Higgins. Get out of here, Mike. I love T. Higgins. All right.
T. Higgins is a
So,
beast.
Yeah, he is a beast. Absolutely. Okay, so Garrett Wilson, 5th overall pick. To you, Brendan.
Mhm.
Who you got?
Okay, this is the threshold. I think this is where you can talk about quarterbacks. Like it just,
All
and with these quarterbacks, this is before we know where they're going, before we've even seen anything at the combine. We haven't seen them throw with each other, throw next to each other. This is where you can deviate. Some guys may go Malik Willis, go that high upside, dual threat quarterback, or you can go the way I'm going to go with a guy that can step in and play right away with Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett can throw the fucking rock. The guy can move outside the pocket. He is not afraid to fit it when it's tight. He has all the experience in the world. He had almost 500 attempts last year for 4,300 yards and 42 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That's pretty dang good. And he rushed 97 times for 241 yards, 5 touchdowns as well. So he has a little bit of ground game to him. He has a little bit of swag around the end zone with running. So I think he is a guy that is the closest thing we got in this draft to actually walk into a situation, actually start from day one. I honestly believe he's the only guy. That's why the first quarterback was taken at 6. It's crazy to even say that in Superflex, but that's the truth. And honestly, if it's me and if I have the 105, 104, and if I'm trying to force a pick for quarterback, it's time to just move away from that. Like, time to go get yourself a top-end positional guy and go trade yourself for a veteran quarterback. Like that, I am not forcing a quarterback pick this year, period.
Yeah, no, I think that's a smart take. So Kenny Pickett, he is projected to be the first quarterback off the board at pick 11. We know how hungry these teams get, right? I mean, you look at the back end of the call it the top 10. Let me pull up the draft order here. So at the end, okay, so Jacksonville, no, they got a quarterback. Detroit Lions, they're not going to go that early. Houston Texans, I don't think they pull the trigger. Okay, Jets, no. Giants, no. Carolina Panthers at pick 6. That's where the conversation can start, okay? Unless they go and get somebody in free agency. I've seen some conversations with Jimmy G going to Carolina. Like, we'll see. The NFL real life calendar year season starts, what is it, early to mid-March, right? Like right around the 10th, 7th, something like that, right? So free agency is coming in a few weeks, so we'll have a really good idea in a number of weeks here of which teams are actually going to be going after quarterbacks. Yeah. All right. But so then you get to the Giants via Chicago. You get the Atlanta Falcons, Denver Broncos, and maybe New York Jets. No. Washington football team at number 11. That's where a lot of teams are confident too. And that kind of makes sense to me, right? He played in Pittsburgh, so he's played in bad weather situations. Now, I will admit, I actually don't know if it's a dome or not, so I don't want to comment on that specifically. But my one data point that I have that I keep pointing to
is in Heinz Field.
Oh, plays at Heinz Field.
He plays at Heinz Field. Yeah.
So there you go. See, Brandon does more research than I do. There you go. The thing about Kenny Pickett is his hand size, right? Until I get the official measurement, I am going to be just a little bit reluctant to go and pull the trigger on Kenny Pickett unless he falls later in drafts, right?
I got you.
If he gets the draft capital, it's fine. But what's his what's his upside? Is he going to be a top 15 quarterback? Derek Carr.
I think that's who he is Derek Carr. I think he's got a little bit more swag to him, though. I think Derek Carr is a little gun shy, even though he has an elite arm talent. He just won't let it rip like anymore. But Pickett will let it rip, man. He will, and he moves outside the pocket well. I really like him when it breaks down. Like when it breaks down, he separates to me. Like he throws off platform. That's what this new NFL is, man. What can you do when the play is shot? What can you do? And this guy has the mental toughness to take a hit and fit it. And I love that. I look for that in quarterbacks. I just have a feeling he's the only guy I'm willing to take a shot on, unless Malik Willis goes to like fucking the Steelers or something like that. That intrigues me a little bit. Like that intrigues me. But besides that, man,
let's talk about that. Ahead. Okay, because my next pick at the 7th spot is going to be Malik Willis at Liberty. Okay, so Malik Willis, he is admittedly he's a work in progress. I think if he's going to go in and start year 1 for an NFL team, that's going to be an absolute mistake. So a team like Minnesota Minnesota.
There's a good one. That's a good one.
Could be a good landing spot for him, right? That I could see.
Yeah.
We talked about Detroit Lions having the Rams pick, so they're going to get the last pick of the draft. I mean, Malik Willis after that Senior Bowl week he's not going to fall to the end of the first round. He's going to definitively be one of the top 3 quarterbacks off the board, I think. And really, what it comes down to here is, I mean, people ask, okay, who does he comp to? And the easy comp is Jalen Hurts, right?
Yeah.
Jalen, in my opinion, is a better runner. I've heard some people
100%. I agree with you.
Better rusher, but Jalen's a better rusher. Like that to me is indisputable. But Malik Willis is a better passer of the ball. It's kind of funny because Carson Strong coming into Senior Bowl week, he was like, okay, Strong, he's aptly named, he's got the best deep ball in the game. He can't throw a damn deep ball, it seems like. He's got the strongest arm, but he can't throw a good deep ball. Malik Willis can. Malik Willis does have a good arm. And I think he had, with the Zebra Technologies, he had the most revolutions on the ball when he was throwing the ball. So what does that mean? It means he can pass the ball. He can use his legs. The question is can he compete at the NFL level? I'm not there yet, but at this stage in the draft, or rookie drafts, of course,
right?
You're deciding between, do you want to go Kenneth Walker? Do you want to go quarterback here because of positional importance in these super flex leagues?
Yep.
I'm going to go Malik Willis. I'm going to go for the upside, understanding that I might not be able to play him in year 1, but if he develops and he has maybe the Trey Lance type routes and he falls to the right team, hey man, there's upside there. So
that's exactly. I'm telling you, with these quarterbacks, that's what can change a lot of these ranks is where they go. If I see Malik Willis going to Carolina, I'm out. I think that's a bad idea. Because of that, I think that whole staff is going to be turned over next year anyways. Yeah. I just don't want to see him going to a place where he's just going to be, set up for failure. Like if he's in a place that has a strong coaching, like I'm telling you, like Mike Tomlin, like that intrigues me a lot. Like that is where I would bump Malik Willis all the way up into the top 4 if I see him going to the Steelers. But if I don't see him going to there, I see him going to some weaker organization that just isn't consistent, then I'm out. But yeah, that's where I'm at with him. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. It's going to be a theme, right? I mean, nobody's going to be all in on any of these quarterbacks. And if you are, you're doing it wrong, I think.
Yep.
Okay. So then for me, the next question is, am I going to go with my next top ranked quarterback? Well, actually, no, it's your pick. Never mind.
It's my pick, homie.
You go.
This is where I get my guy. This is where you snap up value and you take Kenneth Walker right here. Like you have to take Kenneth Walker right here. This guy is just a smaller Joe Mixon to me, a little bit of a smaller guy, but he runs a lot like a J.K. Dobbins and a Joe Mixon. Like that is how I see him running. I think he can carry the load. He obviously did at Michigan State when he transferred. They went all in on this kid for a reason, and they ran the wheels off of him. And like, how can you not like that? Like he had 263 attempts for 1,636 yards, 18 touchdowns for an average of 6.2 yards a carry. That's amazing. The only part that is a question to people is the hands. I get that. He had 13 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown, average of 6.8 yards a catch. I just, I don't know if that was design or what, or if they just didn't believe in Kenneth Walker, but I'm willing to take the plunge at the middle of this round to see if this guy turns into a 3-down back. And if he turns into a 3-down back, I think he could honestly be the best player, the best running back in this class, if he gets that opportunity to catch the football. It just depends on how the team looks at him. But I think he's very close to a J.K. Dobbins type of runner. I'm all in on Kenneth Walker this year. He's my guy.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I mean, your guys definitively this year, Kenneth Walker and Drake London. Yeah. You're very on brand so far this draft. I'm loving it, Brandon. I love Kenneth Walker. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He was the first running back that I really started to dive into, and he jumps off the page. Now, the thing is that Kenneth Walker, okay, so he did transfer, like you said, from Wake Forest to Michigan State. and he didn't do much at Wake Forest, which is probably why he transferred. So there wasn't really there wasn't a lot of media hype, let's call it, of him transferring, right? But he certainly jumped off the page with the numbers that he put up. A few things I do want to highlight here. So he's only 206 pounds. 205 is kind of that threshold that we look at. So his type of running style, you would almost think like he plays bigger than he is, which is very interesting to me. And so these are some stats that I found on Twitter. So I don't want to, so I can't take credit for these stats, but all right. So Kenneth Walker, he was number one. He led the NCAA with 89 forced tackles on runs this year. Okay, so that's fucking elite. Okay,
that's elite.
This is a per game average. This is a per game average this season in 2021. Okay, he had 97 rush yards after contact per game. He had 7.4 missed tackles forced per game. He had 2.5 rushes of 15 plus yards per game, and he had 73 breakaway yards per game. Okay, now one of the players that we're comping him to here is the King himself, man. King Henry. Obviously, different body styles, but this is just for context, okay? In 2015, again, Kenneth Walker, 97 rush yards after contact. King Henry, 89.2. Kenneth Walker, 7.4 missed tackles per game. King Henry, 5.6. Kenneth Walker, 2.5 rush yards of 15 plus yards. 2.5 rushes of 15 plus yards. King Henry, 1.9. And then finally, 73 breakaway yards per game. King Henry, 54.3. I'm not saying he's King Henry. I'm just saying King Henry was a pretty damn good back. And Kenneth Walker, pure running talent, he's up there, man. He's number one in the class, in my opinion. I think we both agree on that.
He runs the ball the best. I just can't say that enough. He is that dude with the ball in his hand when he's running it. The only question is his hands, man. Is he going to be a three down back? But, in this modern football age, not too many guys are getting that full-blown workload these days. Like, it's just not happening. But doesn't mean you aren't an efficient fantasy player, or a valuable guy. Like, he is a guy that I think he's going to surprise a lot of people with his ability to get his hand. Like, when you're that good of an athlete, you can figure it out how to freaking
I think that's fair.
Catch the football.
That's fair.
Like, you can figure it out.
Question is, where is he going to be drafted? His draft capital is 60, which is still round 2 draft capital. So if he goes in round 2, oh baby, wheels up. I think that's where he wants to go. Yeah. Mike Yeager is asking about our take on Breece Hall. Mike, go to Apple Podcasts or click the link in his show, or go to YouTube, because Breece Hall was our one-on-one brother. So we already talked about Breece Hall. So it gives you an opportunity to listen to us again, which is what we all love to hear. All right, so I'm going to go now with my personal second-rate quarterback off the board. I'm going to go with Matt Corral, quarterback out of Ole Miss. Matt Corral, okay, so he's 23 years old. He's 6'1", 205 pounds. He was actually the only quarterback out of, let's call it the top, quote, 6 that wasn't at the Senior Bowl, because he wasn't a senior. He hasn't graduated yet, so he wasn't there. Right. But overall, he's got the arms, he's got the legs. He is definitely pro ready. He did get injured in his bowl game, but he's expected to be ready and healthy for the combine. I think it was just a sprain, an ankle sprain. It wasn't a pure break, which is fantastic.
Nice.
Matt Corral, he's projected to be the second quarterback off the board, it looks like. Yeah, so Kenny Pickett's number 1, Matt Corral's number 2, Sam Howell is number 3, and then Malik Willis is number 4. Those are the round 1 draft capital guys. So I'm going with, again, I'm going upside here. We're in Superflex leagues. I'm going Matt Corral. I don't know. Yeah. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It kind of is what it is. What do you think?
Totally fine with that, man. At this point of the draft, like, this is where you can be okay with taking your quarterbacks, because late first, man, it's a toss-up anyways, most years. This is where the quarterbacks actually belong. If you actually went really by talent, like, this is where they actually would be going, on the bottom half of the first round and into the second. And I just, he's a great dual threat quarterback. I think he's great, but I just don't like his physique. I really don't, especially for a dual threat quarterback, man. Like that, I like thicker guys. If you aren't thick in the lower half, man, and you want to run the football in the NFL, Like you can remember Marcus Mariota. Like he looks just like Marcus Mariota, man. He really does. And
he's 6'1".
I keep seeing it
6'1",
over and over again.
That's not a bad comp. That's not a bad comp.
It's Marcus Mariota, man.
Yeah. I mean, he was pretty good at rushing. He did have in 2020, he had 506 rushing yards for 4 rush TDs. And last year he had 614 rushing yards, for 11 rushing touchdowns. So yeah, I don't know.
It's scary, dude.
It is a little bit scary. Now that you've kind of put that bug in my head, it's going to be hard to get rid of that one.
Yeah.
Jury's still up, brother. If the NFL is high on this guy, then I'm going to be high on this guy. That's it, right?
Hey.
None of these guys.
I'm just taking. I had Matt Corral higher when we first started this process. I had him higher. I thought he would be probably the number 1 quarterback coming out. But honestly, just watching the other guys and just seeing the physiques of the other guys and how well the other guys throw it. I mean, and just the overall talent at quarterback in this draft just isn't there. Like, that's what I'm saying. If you need a quarterback in Superflex, why take the risk? Just package that pickup and go get yourself somebody that's proven. Like, that's just me.
You know what? Like, it's not sexy, but if you have like the 2.2, 2.3 or something like that, and you need a quarterback, like I would rather go upside with the first round pick at the like the 1.3, 1.4, get one of these skill guys, and see if you can go out and sell your pick for like a Derek Carr or even a Jimmy Garoppolo, one of these non-sexy,
Jimmy G, man,
stable. I mean, shit. I wonder what Matt Ryan would go for dynasty value. Like,
I've been trying to sell him, dude. Nobody wants him. Like I've been trying to sell him. I asked for a second, and still,
I think that's fair. Like a mid to late second is probably fair for him. But I'd be more comfortable rolling with one of these guys. I mean, I guess we like the sexy young.
Man.
Can be potential for these rookies, but I'm just not there yet. Where I'm just like jumping for joy with any of these guys. But I'm going Matt Corral. I don't love it. It's not sexy, but it's probably the right thing to do. Brandon.
Yep, I think you're right.
And for the record, we talked about. Sorry, I know we talked about doing 2 rounds. I think we're just going to do round 1 today. And
do round 1.
We'll circle back. Yeah, we'll circle back. Yeah. All right. Who you got at pick 10, brother?
I got Jameson Williams, the Alabama sensation himself. Even though with the injury, this guy, if he was healthy, he would be probably the second wide receiver off the board. He in
a real NFL draft, he
has all drafts like this, 1. Yeah, like he could be number 1 exactly, and that's why you got to take the value at the end of the first round with it. Like people that didn't want to take the risk of the injury, they don't want to look at the tape for some reason because if you watch the tape, the man produced, and the guy can legit light up the scoreboard and break away big chunk catches. But Jameson Williams is my guy. I have where is he at on my list here? He's 20 years old.
Yeah,
he's 20 years old. He had 79 receptions, almost 1,600 yards. He had 20% target share in the Alabama offense. 67% catch rate. And I mean, when Nick Saban is leaning on you that heavy, that means you're a damn good player. And we all know these things. We all know this. The Alabama guys come out. They're ready for the NFL, man. They're ready. I learned my lesson with Jalen Waddle last year. They're ready. And this guy is that kind of guy and an elite talent that unfortunately fell just because of injury. That's it.
So Jameson Williams, he is absolutely electric. Absolutely electric. He had a 19.9 college yards per reception, which is that's elite territory. And here's the thing: he's 6'2". He's 189 pounds. He's 189 pounds, which is really important, right? For me, it's that 185 mark. That's what you really want to look for: 180 to 185, but really 185 and up. So he meets those thresholds. He's got the production. He lit the college world on fire last year.
100%.
I love that guy, man. Absolutely. He's the kind of player that I want on my team. Here's a question for you from the chat. For dynasty purposes, at what point, I'll pull this one up. At what point would you trade for a random 2023 first? Based on my research, what I found the 2023 class is stacked with talent. All right.
Yeah.
So that is accurate, but I would say I wouldn't just look if you can get one of these top 3 elite talents at the quarter or at the running back position that we've talked about, Breece Hall, Isaiah Spiller, Kenneth Walker, or one of these top, honestly, 4 wide receivers. I would put Jameson Williams in that tier, top tier. Traylon Burks, guys that we've been talking about here. I would still take those guys. Now, if you're willing, if you can get like, say, a 2023 first and maybe a 2022 second to go around the 1.7, 1.8, like I would certainly be considering that. Because I think
Kenneth Walker is the demarcation point for me. But after him, you can trade away picks. Like you can trade that away.
Almost like the 1.7, right?
Yeah, 1.7, 1.8. Yeah.
Because when you talk about a random 2023 pick, I mean, I generally like to value it as a mid to late round pick, right? Yeah. So do you think that the mid to late round value next year is going to be worth more than a mid to late round value this year, plus maybe a second, right? That's what I would try to do. I wouldn't want to just comp it 1 for 1, because we know for a fact that if you draft these rookies now, they're going to accrue value. No matter what, they're going to accrue value, right? Barring something crazy. So to go and just give it away for a straight 1 for 1, 2020 pick for a 2022 first rounder, I don't think that's worth it. But if you can get a 1 next year and say a 2 this year, that's
I would
fantastic.
do that.
I would encourage that. Absolutely, I would.
I would do that.
So with that in mind, for my next overall pick here, I mean, shit, I keep going back to these quarterbacks, but I think it's the right thing to do. So my next highest ranked player on my board also happens to be a quarterback. It's Sam Howell, quarterback at UNC. So he's your guy. Or actually not your guy, but so this year
I actually kind of like him. He's all right. He's actually okay.
Yeah. The thing is I mean, people are confident. They're calling him like Josh Allen Jr. or a smaller Josh Allen. He's not Josh Allen though, right? He's only 6'1", 225 pounds. So he's going to run into a wall, but he'll get stopped by that wall. So the thing about Sam Howell is that coming into the Senior Bowl, and granted, it's only 1 week, right? So we can't just base everything off of this. He was expected to be the top quarterback at the Senior Bowl, and a lot of analysts, smart people, had him as like the top ranked quarterback in this draft class, because of the dueling threat, right? So in his 2021 year, he had 3,056 passing yards. He had a 62.5% pass completion percentage, which isn't great. He only had 24 touchdowns for 9 interceptions, which isn't great, but he had 828 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns, right? So you talk about that dual threat option.
That's what it's about.
Is he as electric? He's about the same size as Malik Willis. Is he as electric as Malik Willis on the ground? He's not, right?
He's not.
So this is going to be landing spot dependent. This is going to be going to get value, because in Superflex leagues, you need freaking quarterbacks, okay? Quarterbacks matter. And the easiest time to get a quarterback is in the rookie draft. It's really hard to get these guys in trades.
Would you rather have Jimmy G or Sam Howell right now?
Probably Sam Howell.
I would take Jimmy G. Just because I think
G's, man.
I understand. I understand that. No, but he's a guy that you can put in and count on. We have no idea what these guys are going to be. But the thing is this is the point.
At best, Jimmy G is going to be your if you got to start
QB2, QB3.
You don't love it. He's like a QB3, where Sam Howell could be a QB2. He could be. Yep. So to me, it's close. I'm probably leaning Sam Howell. I don't hate Jimmy G, but to me, there's just no upside.
Jimmy G. Let's say Jimmy G to the Steelers.
That's a different conversation then.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. What if Sam Howell goes to the Steelers, man?
That's a different deal. That's what I'm saying. These quarterbacks are. Whoever lands at Pittsburgh is going to get a boost. No matter what, because he's surrounded by talent, great staff. That's what we got to think about. Jimmy G to Washington is another one that I've been hearing quite a bit about too, and they have great talent around them. And I don't know. I'm curious, man. I'm curious to see where Jimmy's going to go, and we're going to find out soon.
Here's the thing about Jimmy G, right? Washington, I believe it was Washington that came out and said that they would be willing to justify trading their pick, which we already determined is number 11, for Jimmy G, even though that might be
number 11 they would trade for.
What they've got number 11, right? We talked about number 11. Yeah.
Holy
so
moly.
they came out and they said that they could see a world where they could justify trading their first round pick, which is the 11th overall pick, for Jimmy G, because they say in that tweet it would be an overpay. But
absolutely,
with the depth of this quarterback class, maybe they're willing to do that. I think that's a mistake. The Patriots traded him for a second-round pick. Remember Brandon, or no, it was Mike in the chat was talking about, like, remember that time when Patriots fans were upset about trading Jimmy G because they didn't want to keep Tom Brady? It wasn't that. It's that we valued him as a first-round pick, right? That's what we wanted to get. We only got a second from him. So we felt like we sold him for pennies on the dollar. Now,
you did,
San Francisco
because Bill was
is
pissed off at Tom.
He was, Kraft. Well, he was pissed off because Kraft wanted Brady, but Bill wanted Jimmy G, right?
Exactly. He was pissed. He was like, you know what? Screw it. Yeah.
Allegedly. The thing is that if San Francisco can go and get the 11th overall pick in the draft, like, that's a snap call for me.
That's a snap call. Exactly. 100%.
I don't think they're going to be able to get that. To me, that would be a mistake. I would take a shot.
I would trade back. If I was watching, I would trade back, grab an extra pick, and then give him a late first. That's what I would do. Yeah,
but then, I mean, that's a lot of moving pieces. Maybe they could get it done, but it's that could be tough. All right, so finish this off here. 12th overall pick. Who you got, Brandon?
I'm between guys, man, right here. This is where
there's question marks. To me, there's two real players that I go for here. I'm curious.
I know you want me to say Chris Olave. I know you do. I know you want that so bad. But I'm going to take Pickens ahead of him.
Yeah,
I think he prototype wide receiver 1. I think he had a ho-hum, because of injuries. Everybody's a little salty on him. But the size, catch radius, like, everything about him screams wide receiver 1. I'm curious to see where he's going to go. I like the upside of Pickens. I think that's where I would go at 12.
Yeah, so George Pickens, for those who don't know, he did tear his ACL in the 2020 season. So that affected the rest of his 2020 year, as well as pretty much the entire 2021 year. He did play in the national championship game, but he didn't do much. He didn't
look great.
Much. So but he's still young. He's only he'll be 21 next year. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. He had an 18.5 breakout age, right? So this is a young player that we wanted, that the football community had high hopes for, but he got the injury. I think this is the right pick. Now, I was doing a RotoWire mock, and I chose Chris Olave over George Pickens at this exact spot. I go back and forth between these two players. I would just look, if you're picking at the 112, there's probably a good chance that you are the champion in your league. So do you want a nice, safe player like Chris Olave, or you want to just say fuck you to your league? Go draft this guy who could just absolutely be banging in the NFL. I'm going for the upside of George Pickens at this spot, and I don't hate it, man. I'm comfortable with that.
I'm glad you're with me. I'm glad you're with me
to win the game, Brandon.
Yeah. I get it. Like, he could literally morph into a wide receiver 2 for you rookie year, and very easily, just on if he gets to the right squad. Like, I just like his size, speed, his BMI, everything about him. Like, that's nice. Like, I'm curious what he's going to run. Like, I'm curious to see where he's going to run at.
All right,
that's going to be interesting.
Okay, so Matt Beck was talking shit. He's saying that's why real men draft their Dynasty Rookie Draft pre-draft.
I hear you.
I think that's pretty apt, man. Like,
dude, I hear you.
The best time to draft, I think, is like this is like Dynasty degenerates, right? Is between the combine and the NFL draft, man. Like, that's
dude. I got to see him at the combine at least. I want to see him side by side. I need to see that. Like, I really, because you can just see who's really a snatch catcher, who's a body catcher. You're gonna see all that next to each other, line after line, rep after rep, and that to me tells me a lot. And there's a lot of pressure at the combine, dude. Like, that's a ton of pressure. You're gonna see these guys perform under that. That's why I can't wait to see these quarterbacks, man. I can't wait to see these quarterbacks throw at the combine. That is when you can really start telling who can sling it, who can place the ball, and that's going to separate the men, I think.
What's going to be really interesting with a guy like George Pickens is that if he goes out and he's going to have more time to heal, more time to get healthy, and if he goes and actually comes out and puts up a good combine numbers,
I
mean,
you're
not going to be getting him at the 112. You're probably going to have to have a conversation between him, Jameson Williams. Like, he's going to be probably in that threshold, but he'll definitively be around one pick. So it's going to be interesting, man.
I'm
so
right there with you.
Look, we went through it.
Went through one round. It took an hour.
No, we did one. I mean, that's about right. We want to give the people what they want. We want to give these prospects their due course to talk through them, right? Because we're going to continue to learn more. We're going to continue to watch film on these guys, get more comfortable with them, because we're busy people. We unfortunately don't have time to really dive into the college season. This is it. This is time. So new information comes in as we get pro day numbers, as we get combine numbers. Like, this is when we're going to really be able to solidify our round one. But round two, it opens up, man. So just to give the people a taste, because we're not going to go there, but
let's do it.
Some of my round two guys. Yeah. So some of my round two guys, this is just my early comp. Okay. Or my first pass at round two. So pretty much actually all of our round one guys, and it's in a different order, but those are my round one players. Every single one of these guys, not a single round two guy that I ranked didn't go in round one when round one.
Because we're sharp, homie. Because we're sharp.
I think we're sharp. Why. Yeah, I think we're pretty dialed in, I think, as of right now. But so just really quick, my rankings. Now, this is subject to change, but I've got Chris Olave, Kyron Williams, David Bell, Trey McBride. Okay. So that to me is a tier. Okay.
Oh my God. That's how I have it. Literally. And we haven't even spoken about it.
I know.
That's awesome.
Then my next tier of guys, and this was tough because I wasn't sure. I'm still trying to iron out where I've got my running backs ranked, but I've got Jerome Ford, Rachaad White, and Tyler Algier. Those guys to me are kind of in a grouping. I'm still trying to rank them within that grouping. And then I've got Desmond Ridder, because
there you go.
This is where Kyle Trask was going last year, mid to late second round. Desmond Ridder, depending on his draft capital, if he gets round one capital, he's a project.
He ain't going round one.
He's probably going round two. He's probably. I mean, the big board has him at 46, so mid round two. Can see. Okay. But again, teams are hungry, right?
They are very starving. Like, they are starving right now.
And takes a shot on him at 32 overall and get that, because getting that value is important. Oh, whoops!
That fifth year is a huge deal to these guys about quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. So then I got that smudge of wide receivers: Jahan Doxson, Justin Ross, John Mechie, and then Jalen Tolbert round out my round two, and then round three: Christian Watson, Carson Strong. Okay, so
I have Christian Watson firmly in mid round two, firmly. I just love the profile.
Are you taking him above like Justin Ross, John Mechie, like above those guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have him above Wan'Dale Robinson, Brian Robinson, Sky Moore. I have him above them. I have Rachaad White's right behind Christian Watson as well. He's a little lanky to me.
Yeah.
Mike D likes him.
A lot of people like him. A lot of people have
my ears perked up a little bit when Mike D started talking about him a little bit. And I was just like,
Mike likes him.
Yeah.
Shit, man. Are we gonna get into? We got to. Damn it. Okay.
Got 5. We can do 5 minutes.
Yeah. So to talk about a few of these players, I'm going to be on the RotoWire show tomorrow with Al. The show's going to come out on Monday, but I'm going to be on the show tomorrow. Some of the later round sleeper guys that I'm going to be talking about are Jerome Ford, Tyler Algier, and then at the wide receiver position, Wan'Dale Robinson, Sky Moore, and John Mechie. I would say that Rachaad White's probably in that conversation. Tyler Algier's in that conversation.
Tyler Algier.
What do you like about Rachaad White,
bro?
Tyler Algier.
Holy
shit.
Tyler Algier. I like, dude. I the more and more I watch him, the more and more I like him. I just want to see what he runs. Like, is he a 4.6 guy, or is he going to be running low 4.5? Like, if he's running low 4.5, I'm going to push him up. Like, he can literally. He has zero fear, dude. Like, zero. That dude runs through people. I like that a lot.
Just a taste for the people. Tyler Algier, he's a running back out of BYU.
Yep.
He is 21 years old, 21.8, so he'll be 22 when the season starts. He's 5'11", 220 pounds, okay? So Here's the thing that's just insane about him, okay? All right, so he had 276 rush attempts, that's a lot. He had 1,601 rushing yards, which was third in the NCAA last year. He had 23 total touchdowns, which was tied for first. He also had a 10% target share with 28 receptions for 199 yards. This guy checks.
He's an all-around back, dude. He's all around back. I have him above Rachaad White. Dude. I like Tyler Algier above Rachaad White just because of the build. Like, I just think it's almost like Rachaad White almost was a wide receiver that turned into a running back. Like, you can just see how he's just not built the normal running back style look. That makes me a little nervous. He looks like a Cordell Patterson when he runs back there. That's the kind of guy that Rachaad White reminds me of. But dude, this kid, Tyler Algier, man, I think he's going to sneak up boards when it's time.
Yeah.
Because
the reason, this is just my
shot.
opinion, okay? So Tyler Algier was not at the Senior Bowl, okay? But Rachaad White was. All right.
Yep.
We talked about Jerome Ford, who I still like. He's in this conversation as one of these like the next tier of running back. Jerome Ford, he's not a plotter, but he's kind of more that plotter type profile, right? He's going to be your early down back, goal line back type player, even though he's not huge. He's good in short yardage. Rachaad White, he is electric. Okay, he's got good feet, he's smooth, and he's going to be quick, right? So when you talk about these unpadded practices, and those are the types of players that are going to jump out, right? But Rachaad White, he's 6'2", 210 pounds, coming from Arizona State.
6'2" is too tall, man. Like
he's a tall running back. And the thing is that the Arizona State offensive line in 2021 ranked 3rd in the nation. Okay, so he had a great line in front of him. So I'm just saying, this is where we're at. This is where we're trying to iron out these details, and this is what we're going to do for you people over the next couple of months as we get to the draft season. We're going to figure out the nuance, and we're really going to put definitive opinions on which guys are we taking, because in round 2, round 3 of your rookie drafts, you want to go upside, man. And there's a lot of sexy running backs and a lot of sexy wide receivers in rounds 2 and 3. But there's always question marks. There's a reason these guys aren't round 1 prospects. So
one question. Where do you have Trey McBride at? Where's your line for him? Like, I have him I literally have him at 16.
16. That's why I have him. Honestly, after Chris Olave, I have like Kyron Williams, David Bell, Trey McBride as kind of like a tier. So I would take Chris Olave ahead of all those guys. The thing is, though, is that would I rather go Trey McBride in the 2nd round or Jalen Weidemeyer, who's probably going to fall to 2nd round or round 3, excuse me. So I would almost rather take like the upside of a Kyron Williams or a David Bell and then pray that at 3.2, 3.3, Jalen Weidemeyer falls, because Jalen Weidemeyer and Trey McBride are very similar profiles. So if they both get draft capital, like these are guys who we don't advocate typically drafting rookie tight ends, but a Pat Freiermuth type, like that range of outcomes where if you can get 6-7 touchdowns, like that's what you want in your tight ends, right?
Yep.
If you don't go elite, if you don't have the Kyle Pitts, the Travis Kelce's of the world, like you want a tight end that can catch touchdowns. Both Trey McBride and Jalen Weidemeyer can do that, and I think they can do that as rookies. So that's where it comes down to, right?
Let's speak Trey McBride to the Chargers, baby. Let's speak it into existence. That would be amazing.
Oh, baby.
I would
the Chargers?
Lose my mind. What?
Mike Gesicki. There's rumblings that Mike Gesicki and the Chargers are having that. Oh my God.
That dude's a freak.
For all my dynasty stairs of Mike Gesicki, please go to the Chargers, baby.
Yeah, that would be nice. Like it's very good fit. I think that would be wonderful.
One last thing before we get out of here. Michael Yeager is asking about his boy Justin Ross. All right, so Justin Ross, Clemson wide receiver. He really hasn't done much for the last couple of years because he had a neck injury. And that's scary, right? But he looks like he's going to be healthy. It looks like he's going to be available. He's entered the draft, right? So I can't take credit for this, but I've heard Justin Ross, if he falls to like 3.1 to the Jacksonville Jaguars, like Michael Yeager, your boys are teamed up. It's going to be Clemson 2.0 is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I can see that.
Happy with that, right?
It really, honestly, the combine is going to be huge for him. Like he needs to clear. Like he really needs to convince these teams that he's worth the risk. Right now, I have a big fat red flag next to him just because of the issues. But the talent's there, man. He had an early breakout age. Like the talent's there. I get it. Like, I mean,
he looked good and he was playing with T. Higgins, man. He had a breakout age of
T. Higgins
8.7.
Yeah, drawing all the coverage.
Justin Ross, another big dude, 6'4", 205 pounds.
That's nice. That's nice.
Marks, man.
Yep. Hey, he might be that guy that you steal in the late 2nd round that turns into a superstar because of all these issues and everybody else is scared. So, like, in my opinion, 2nd rounds are made to gamble with, baby. That's why I try and get a couple of them in that round, because somebody's going to have a huge breakout out of there just because of concerns of health. And that is a guy, if I have multiple seconds, he might be one of them.
Shot of them. Yeah, you're taking a shot of them. I have him as my currently I have him as my wide receiver 9, just after Jahan Dotson, just ahead of John Mechie and Jalen Tolbert. So he's going to be in
That's where he belongs. That's where he belongs. That's where he belongs.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, so that's just a taste. We'll have to do round 2 a little bit later.
That was awesome.
So,
Yeah.
Brandon, where do the good people find you?
On Twitter, Brandon D Adam 19. Check it out. And we're trying to get as much content out there for you guys as possible. We'll be doing more and more and more, and maybe we'll do some midweek stuff soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for those who engage in the chat. Thanks for Matt. Thanks for Mike. Thank you, Boise Zay, for chiming in. We love your questions. That's why we're here. We do to talk to the people. If you like what you listen to, if you like what you saw, I mean, with our mugs and everything like that, just like and subscribe to this feed. Please. It really helps us. It really goes a long way, and we want to continue to grow the Flex Network community. So we appreciate it.
Give us a follow, man.
Yeah, hit us up on Twitter. Give us a follow on YouTube. Or our podcast can be found anywhere you listen to podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher.
Give us a good rank in there. It all helps. Absolutely. Like, it honestly does. And we're trying to grow this brand, and let's do it, man, because we got some great connections in this industry, and I think we're underrated for the kind of stuff we talk about and put out. And I think in the next year we're gonna start blossoming, and people are gonna start really paying attention. Yeah,
we are podcasts for the people. So of course, for Brandon, for Mike, I'm Flex Shane, and we are the Flex Network.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody.